In a world where most drones suck because they aren't made by DJI, enters a new hope. A masterpiece of technological innovation. Absolute perfection in drones. Anyone who finds fault with it is wrong. The Mavic Air 2. The greatest drone ever made. From the greatest company in the history of mankind. DJI.
Not on my channel.
Jeff Sibelius and LandonAirPhotos.com.
Okay, I've been having a lot of fun with the whole non-fanboy thing, but you gotta admit, there are some people out there who have absolutely no sense of objectivity when it comes to DJI drones. Now, I'm not a DJI hater. I've owned 8 different DJI drones and I keep buying more. I'm just not going to sacrifice an animal at the altar of DJI. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, good and bad. I'm going to go into great detail on build quality, performance and features, photographic capabilities, and the DJI Fly app. Be sure to stick around to the end when I'll actually sum it all up and tell you exactly what I think about the Mavic Air 2 and who I think it's right for. After my review, whether or not you buy the Mavic Air 2 is entirely up to you, but at least you'll be basing your decision on good information. So let's get started talking about design, build, and quality.
Flawless design and amazing build quality.
Well, I don't know about all that, but it is pretty darn good quality, especially when you compare it to the Mavic Mini. Where the Mavic Mini was made of flimsy, flexible plastic, the Mavic Air 2 is built with a much more durable plastic which should withstand significant bumps and crashes. Like the rest of the Mavics, the Air 2 has very low ground clearance. You'll need leg extensions or a landing pad to be able to launch and land without ground clutter interfering with your gimbal. Unlike the Mini or the original Mavic Air, the Air 2's battery is on top of the drone, which makes it easier to access when booting up or checking your charge level. I hope all future Mavics follow this approach. The Air 2 is bigger than the Mini or the original Air. It spans 302 millimeters diagonally, where the Mini and the Mavic Air are both only 213 millimeters. Much of this comes from longer arms on the Mavic Air 2. The Air 2 is also significantly heavier than the Mini or the Mavic Air. At 570 grams, it weighs 33% more than the Air and more than twice as much as the Mini. The Air 2 batteries are about that much heavier than the batteries of the Air and the Mini as well. All that's to say, the Mavic Air 2 is a bit more of a chore to take with you than the Mavic Air or the Mavic Mini, especially when you include the slightly larger controller. But let's be serious, all of these drones are really very small. The Mavic Air 2 is smaller than the Mavic Pro, Mavic 2 Pro, the Autel Evo, the Evo 2, or the Phantom series. It's smaller than the Skydio 2 as well. And compared to big birds like the Typhoon H, the Mavic Air 2 is really tiny. I've heard some complaints that the Mavic Air 2 comes with only one compass and IMU. It lacks the redundancy of a dual system. This complaint is only in theory for now. I haven't heard of any problems with the Air 2 losing control or flying off. Like the Mavic Air, the Air 2 has 8 gigabytes of internal storage, so you can still shoot video even if you forget your card. This is a great feature. I'd like to see it on all drones. So let's talk about this controller since there's been a lot of concern about it. From a build standpoint, it's solid and it fits the hands well. It doesn't have those floppy antennas sticking out, so I think it'll be a lot more durable than other Mavic controllers. The controller allows me to access the power button on the side or the buttons on the front of the screen. And it's big enough to hold a phone that's actually still in its case. Some people have complained that it's bigger than the other Mavic controllers. It is a little bigger, but not significantly so. I'm probably a bad judge on this aspect because I'm used to flying with controllers for the Phantom and the Typhoon H. Overall, I'm fine with the Mavic Air 2's controller, and the new way of mounting the smart device is a big improvement to me. The Air 2 has lights on all motor pods, and it also has an auxiliary light on the bottom that you can turn on or off as you'd like. I like these features because they make the drone more visible, and anything helps when you're talking about a gray-colored drone. Yes, the Mavic Air 2 is a medium gray. If you watched my review on the Mini, you know I beat it up pretty good for being a light gray color, which makes it almost impossible to see in the sky. The Air 2 is a little darker. That's good. But it's still not as dark as the Mavic Air or the Mavic Pro, and that's bad. You may be getting tired of hearing it, but as long as DJI continues to make drones that are hard to see in the sky, I'll continue to beat on them for doing it. This is a safety issue and it's common sense. If the color of the Air 2 is worse than the Air, at least the new drone reflects a big improvement with its sound. The Air was well known for its high-pitched buzz that was the Air 2's motors are lower pitched and less noisy. Now I personally don't mind a noisy drone because it's easier to track in the sky, but most people prefer a quieter drone, and the Air 2 makes a big improvement in this area. All in all, the build quality and design of the Mavic Air 2 are excellent. Outside of its color, I think it's a big step forward over the Mini and the Air. There is one other problem with the Air 2's design, but I'm going to cover that in the next section, performance and features. Before I go on to flight performance, if you're going to buy the Mavic Air 2 and this review has helped you decide, I hope you'll order one straight from DJI using the link in the description below and support my ability to produce more videos in the future. And if you're concerned that I'll somehow be biased because I have an affiliate link on this channel, just watch the review all the way to the end, and then when it's done, you tell me in the comments whether or not you think I pulled any punches.
Amazing flight performance and unparalleled features.
Well, not quite. There are some amazing aspects to the Mavic Air 2's flight performance and some very good aspects, and there are a couple of problems as well. The Air 2 features the OcuSync transmission system, which provides a remarkably solid connection between the drone and the controller. OcuSync 2.0 has a video transmission distance of up to 10 kilometers and delivers a beautiful 1080p resolution feed directly from the drone's camera. I have yet to see as much as one single flicker in the video sync with Mavic Air 2. It's been flawless, even out to 2,600 feet. With OcuSync, the drone is able to fly a greater distance than it's safe to do, but even people who fly responsibly will love the rock-solid connection they get. Flight times are just as impressive. I'm getting flights of 25 to 28 minutes with the Air 2. Even if you only have 2 batteries, you're doing close to an hour of flying time before a recharge. The front and rear obstacle avoidance system works very well, freezing the drone a safe distance from any obstacle it detects. The sound of the obstacle avoidance warning from this controller is very loud, and that's good, because the visual warning you get on screen is almost impossible to see. Look at the screen as I back the drone up close to me. The drone stops and the beeping starts, but the only visual warning you get on screen is a small orange blinking and slight red highlight at the bottom of the screen. I'd like to see them make this a little bit more obvious for safety purposes. I definitely prefer the visual warning you get from the Go 4 app, like you can see here. There's no complaint about the APAS 2.0 system on this drone. This could be my favorite feature of the Mavic Air 2. Watch as I fly the drone directly at the camera. With APAS turned off, the drone comes to a stop when it detects the obstacle. Now, watch what it does when APAS is turned on. The drone detects the obstacle and maneuvers around it, giving you a much nicer shot while keeping the drone safe. People get all ate up with having the drone chase them through some obstacle course, which doesn't interest me in the slightest. If you want a drone to follow you through the jungle on some nature hike, you should just get a Skydio 2. But for an obstacle avoidance system that helps to keep you safe, the APAS system is great. It also gives you nice flowing shots around objects. For me, that's the real value of this system. Watch as I fly the Mavic Air 2 at this tree. The drone maneuvers around the tree, under the branches, and over tall grass for a really nice shot. Let's be clear though, the obstacle avoidance system on the Mavic Air 2 is very good as far as it goes, but it doesn't have top, side, or bottom sensors. As is the case with any obstacle avoidance system, any safety feature on any drone, it's up to you to fly safely and not rely on the features to keep you out of trouble. Let's talk about flight performance. In my review of the Mini, I said that I thought it was smoother and more sedate than I expected. With the Air 2, the opposite is true. In normal mode, I felt that the Mavic Air 2 was peppier than what I thought it would be, maybe even too peppy, especially since the DJI Fly app doesn't allow you to adjust stick sensitivity with expo settings. This affects not just flying, but also the maneuvering, when you're trying to get smooth motions in your video. With the Mini, you'll need to get used to flying in sports mode for safety reasons. With the Mavic Air 2, you'll need to use tripod mode more often to get slow curves that will deliver the quality video you want. One test I run on all new drones is to tilt the camera all the way down and up to see how smoothly it moves. The Air 2 is very smooth, but again, you can't adjust the speed of this motion in your app settings. Even the Mini allows you to do that, so I'm hoping we see that added for the Air 2 soon. Now there is a problem with this gimbal, and this could be the biggest problem the Mavic Air 2 has. Simply put, when your camera is pointed straight forward and you push the right stick full forward, the gimbal drops the camera down. It happens in all three power modes, and it really does it when you allow upward gimbal rotation. It also does it when you fly backwards at full speed and let go of the stick. This is unacceptable. You can fly around it by accelerating slowly or by tilting the camera slightly down rather than straight forward, but you shouldn't have to. Yes, I know the problem happens with other Mavic drones. I can only hope DJI can fix this with a firmware update, and soon. Another test I like to run is a slow 360-degree spin and long hover. The Mavic Air 2 yaws very smoothly, but it's tough to do it slow enough to get a nice, smooth, cinematic pan like you want to get in your videos, unless you switch to tripod mode. Look at the view of this spin from the camera in normal mode. This is just too fast to be a good shot. The Air 2 hovers nicely. Watch this extended hover sped up 500%. The drone controls nicely and it does very well in the wind. This alone makes the Air 2 far safer and easier to fly than the Mavic Mini. I'd pay the difference in price for the Mavic Air 2 over the Mini for this consideration alone. I don't do range tests, but I did take the Air 2 out as far as 2,600 feet, and it's been absolutely perfect. Video sync and control connection, and all with that big, beautiful video feed. I've tested out the active track functions, which include Spotlight, Orbit, and Trace. Trace offers two options: Trace, where it follows behind you, and Parallel, where it flies to the side of you. The active track mode is cool, but it's a bit buggy, especially when you're flying in parallel mode. And you've always got to be cautious flying in autonomous flight modes when you're flying sideways. There is no side obstacle avoidance with the Mavic Air 2. I'm going to do an entire episode on these active track modes. When it's published, you'll see a link in the upper right corner of the screen now. Active track does a lot of cool things, not just chase you through the woods. You can use it, for example, as a second cameraman to record you walking across the fields reading a script, like I'm doing here. The Mavic Air 2 includes 6 autonomous flight modes, including Droney, Circle, Helix, Rocket, Boomerang, and Asteroid. That's 2 more flight modes than you get with the Mini. And the flight modes with the Air 2 have more capabilities than you find in the Mini as well. I just wish it had waypoints. All in all, the Mavic Air 2 flies like a dream. My only real complaints in this category center on limitations to the expo and gimbal adjustments and the problem with the dropping gimbal. Otherwise, this drone flies amazingly well for a drone that only costs $800. I'm going to talk about the photographic capabilities of the Mavic Air 2 next, but I wanted to let you know I'm posting the entire script of this video with additional information, along with sample video clips and photos on my website at landandairphotos.com. Use the link in the description below and download samples to try out on your computer.
Photographic capabilities far beyond what we mere mortals deserve.
Well, Not too good for mere mortals, but it is really good. The Mavic Air 2 has a remarkable camera with a 1/2-inch sensor and a 3-axis mechanical gimbal that delivers all the smoothness you expect from modern video drones. Even better, the Air 2 provides an assortment of options that surpass even the Mavic 2 Pro, which costs literally twice as much. The Mavic Air 2 shoots 4K video at 60 frames per second. Not even the Mavic Pro 2 does that. But there's a catch. You can shoot 4K video at 60 frames per second and 1080p video at up to 240 frames per second. But at 4K, once you go with a higher frame rate than 30, you're limited to shooting with H.265 compression. So why does this matter? Well, lots of computers, including mine, won't play H.265 video. Here's what it looks like when I try to play H.265 video. To make my high frame rate Mavic Air 2 video work, I have to bring it into an editor and export it to H.264 before I can even view it. Maybe this problem will go away for me if I upgrade to Windows 10. Maybe I need to change out something on the computer. For now at least, H.265 is a no-go for me. The Autel Evo shoots 4K 60 in H.264, and so does the Autel Evo 2, Phantom 4 Pro, and the Typhoon H Plus. The Air 2 should be able to do it as well. So does your computer work with H.265 video? You can find out. I've posted raw video files I shot at H.265 in the show notes on my website. Download these and try them on your computer to see if that's going to be a problem for you. If your computer can't handle H.265 video, you're limited to shooting at 4K 30, which puts the Air 2's specs in the same general range as the Mavic 2 Zoom, Parrot Anafi, Typhoon H, and other consumer-level drones. The exception to this is the Mavic Air 2 shoots at up to 120 megabits per second bit rate, which is far superior to the rest of the drones on the market. All that is really not a criticism of the Air 2's video quality. The video you shoot from the Mavic Air 2 is beautiful. The normal color profile setting gives you nice colors and detail right out of the camera that cleans up well with minimal editing. D-Cinelike delivers a flatter image for people who want to color correct and grade more. I already showed you my standard tilt-down test with the gimbal to see how the gimbal performed. But let's see it again to check the barrel distortion of the lens along the horizon. The Air 2 performed very well on this test, minimizing the curvature of the horizon as the camera tilted down. The Mavic Air 2 shoots HDR video. This is something I've avoided up to now because it seemed a bit gimmicky, but I tried it with the Air 2 and it resulted in very nice colors and detail in both the dark and light areas of the scene. This is the closest thing I've seen to the vivid setting on unique drones, and I always liked the video I got from my Typhoon H. I will definitely shoot more with HDR based on what I've seen. One problem though, you can't set the AE lock in HDR, so prepare for exposure fluctuations when shooting at this setting. The standard resolution for photos on the Mavic Air 2 is 12 megapixels, but you can actually shoot 48 megapixel shots on this drone. These 48 megapixel images provide remarkable detail that you can print at large sizes, and you can crop the photos significantly and still have a good sized image. If I were a still photo shooter with drones, I think I'd be using the 48 megapixel setting all the time, even with the large file sizes. Just remember to shoot these as raw images instead of JPEGs. I tried out hyperlapse a couple times and it worked. As you can see, it was a windy day, so it didn't turn out that great. I understand there are some problems with hyperlapse though, and I'll be doing a tutorial and closer evaluation of it in the coming weeks. When it's published, you'll see a link in the upper right corner now. The Mavic Air 2's camera is a strong selling point for this drone. It's not going to match the dynamic range you get from the Mavic 2 Pro's 1-inch sensor, but the Mavic Air 2 doesn't cost $1,500 either. It's superior to the Mini, obviously, and competes very well with other drones that cost a lot more. In fact, I think I prefer the video from the Mavic Air 2 over what I get from the more expensive Autel Evo. Unless you're a pixel peeper or need the extra value you get from 10-bit video or a 1-inch sensor, I think you'll be thrilled with the images you get from the Mavic Air 2.
The DJI Fly app, the greatest control application ever designed.
No. So let's talk about the DJI Fly app, which is actually the biggest weakness of the Mavic Air 2. All the previous DJI drones except the Mavic Mini used the DJI Go app, the latest version being DJI Go 4. With the Mini, DJI debuted the DJI Fly app, which is a stripped-down, cleaner version of the DJI Go app. For the Mini, I thought it worked very well. Cleaner interface, fewer features, it served the needs of a budget drone. Then the Mavic Air 2 came out, and it too uses the DJI Fly app. Well, for a drone that costs $800, our expectations were higher than what we had for the Mini, and in some cases the app falls short. On the plus side, it is a cleaner interface than the Go 4 app. For hobbyist drone operators, I think the screen displays the basic information in an easy-to-find way, although the menus are not organized well at all. Even with that, the Fly app is the weakest part of the Air 2. The biggest problem with the Fly app is that it's missing some key settings that really should be there. As I mentioned previously, you can adjust your expo settings or your gimbal sensitivity, and given how twitchy this drone is, that could be a real problem. Now, yeah, you can drop it down into tripod mode, but I'd rather adjust the sensitivity of the sticks so I can control the flight better myself. The white balance is buried in the overflow menu. This makes no sense. All the other camera settings are in the lower right corner of the camera view. But to set white balance, you have to go into the overflow menu, choose the cameras tab, scroll down, and then set the white balance. It feels like the white balance was put there because, well, it had to go someplace, right? My other problem with the white balance is that it only provides a slider for the Kelvin scale. It has no presets. Presets for sunny, maybe cloudy, sunrise, sunset, shadows, those would be very helpful considering the target consumer for the Air 2 is probably someone who has never heard of the Kelvin scale or light temperatures in the first place. The Mavic Air 2 has only two color profiles, normal and D-Cine-alike. The Fly app also lacks the adjustments you used to be able to make within a color profile for sharpness, contrast, and saturation. For people who want to tinker with their video, this is frustrating. I really don't like how obstacle avoidance displays on the screen. I think the Go 4 app does this very well, and I miss it here. The Mavic Air 2 does not support DJI goggles. This may be a limitation of the drone, but I'm guessing the problem is with the app. Either way, that's a feature a lot of people like. Currently, the Mavic Air 2 does not work with the DJI Smart Controller. I've heard that this will be added in a future update, and I hope they do. With the exception of the goggles, I think the Fly app can be updated to improve on all the limitations I've described. For now, it lacks some key features that more advanced hobbyists would enjoy, especially those who have flown other DJI drones like the Phantom.
In summary, the Mavic Air 2 is drone perfection.
Well, by now you know I wouldn't go quite that far when describing the Mavic Air 2. Actually, you may not really know what I think of the Mavic Air 2, given all the ways I've nitpicked this thing over the last 20-some minutes. I've tried to be as thorough as possible because I want to give you as much information as possible so you can make the right choice for yourself. So, what do I think of the Mavic Air 2 from the perspective of a real, genuine non-fanboy? Overall, I would have to say that the Mavic Air 2 is absolutely the best drone on the market in 2020 for about 80% of the drone pilots out there. The greatest aspect of the drone is value. It's amazing what you get for $800. It's about $200 cheaper than the Autel Evo First Series. It blows the cheaper Mavic Mini and Parrot Anafi out of the water in terms of quality and performance. It's much cheaper than the Skydio 2, and it's a better drone for actually flying and not just chasing you around the wilderness. It costs half the price of the Mavic Pro 2 and has some capabilities that exceed the Mavic Pro 2. What else is there in the $800 price range that even competes? You literally have to double the price to find a drone that really challenges it. The Fimi X8 SE 2020 is the only unknown for me. I have one on order and I'll test it soon. When that review is done, you'll see a link to it in the upper right corner now. For now at least, the Mavic Air 2 is the top mainstream drone you can get, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's stable, reliable, solid, and has an excellent obstacle avoidance system, making it a terrific choice for beginners, although they should probably fly in tripod mode at first because the drone is quicker than I'd like. If you're a beginner, don't sweat the lack of DJI Fly settings or even the H.265 issue. This drone is a no-brainer for you as long as it fits your budget. While the Air 2 lacks some of the finer settings it really should have, the camera system provides outstanding video with a decent set of autonomous flight modes, so the more experienced hobbyists will be happy with what it offers as well. Would a professional use it? As a primary drone, I think pros would probably prefer something that shoots 10-bit video or has a 1-inch sensor, but I'd be happy to take the Air 2 with me on a job for secondary or specific shots, especially with the cool things you can do with the APAS system. All is not butterflies and unicorns for the Mavic Air 2, however. The fact that this drone forces you to use H.265 compression at higher frame rates can be a real problem. The lack of adjustments and settings in the Fly app will frustrate more experienced pilots, although you can get around some of that by flying in tripod mode. It has DJI's notorious no-fly zone built in. For many users, that's a deal killer just by itself. And the problem with the gimbal is a legitimate concern. You can get around it by accelerating into your motions instead of simply jamming the sticks forward, or by starting your pattern with the gimbal tilted slightly down, but I hope DJI can get this problem fixed soon. See? Being a non-fanboy doesn't mean I'm a DJI hater. It just means that I tested the drone out thoroughly, and I did it without bias. And it also means that when I tell you this is a great drone, it really is a great drone. So, after all that, do you plan to buy the Mavic Air 2? I hope this review has been helpful. If so, click the link in the description below and order direct from DJI, and you'll be supporting my ability to do more videos on the Air 2 and other drones in the future. Speaking of more videos, there's a playlist on screen now with more episodes about the Mavic Air 2, so be sure to check those out so you can learn more about this drone. I'll be adding to that playlist, so be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified when I publish again. And as always, your comments and likes are greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching.